Good evening, everybody. All right, this evening here, I want to talk about the Volca Sample. Now, there's loads of tutorials and videos of this baby online. It's like 2019, October. So this baby's been out for a while. So I picked this up today second hand. So what I wanted to do is tell you guys out there how to go about if you bought one of these second hand, how to basically do a kind of remove the samples that are already there and then start loading in your own samples, because it was like a little bit painful. It was a little bit painful, I have to say. So I've kind of in the last hour gone from hate to love. It's pretty nice sounding. So these are not the Korg sounds. So it's not a full like factory reset. So these are my own sounds that I've put in. But yeah, it was. It's a little bit strange because as you'll may have seen or may have noticed, if you've seen one of these, seen other people, there's no USB. There's MIDI in, and obviously there's a sync in and the sync out, so it can play nicely with other Volcas. But yeah, so updating the firmware and getting samples in is a little bit odd. So here we go. So the first time I tried to load in samples on this, it failed. So I did a firmware update, and so the firmware update, let's just check the documentation, is I went for 1.42, which as of today is the most recent update. Now you can check the I'm going to take the audio out there. You can check what firmware this is by holding down record and turning it on. So that says, so as you see, it flips up there and said 1.4, 1.42. So that's how you can check. So that is, let's just turn it off. Let's turn it off. So hold down record and then turn it on. That's how you check what the firmware is. Now, if you need to update the firmware, you'll go ahead and go to the Korg website. So I'll put a screenshot on the screen there where you can download the firmware. Then what you need to go and do is find yourself a stereo 3.5mm jack. So you may have got these if you've got any kind of iPod dock or a Bluetooth player, and they often will ship with these little stereo 3.5mm. So it's like, so they're the size that fit in standard phone headphone sockets or iPod or iPad or whatever headphone sockets. So apparently, and I think you can do this update from an iPad or a phone. But so first thing I tried it from my Windows PC, which is a very old and crappy PC, and it didn't work. But happily, it did work fine on my MacBook. If this fails for you, just try a different machine, and that's like Korg's official line, which I think is not great, because essentially what you're doing is you're playing in the firmware and also the samples over audio, which is like a bit weird, but when it worked the second time I did it on my Mac, it was fine. There's a PDF that comes with this, so just follow the instructions. So go and download the firmware update. There's a zip file which contains a PDF. There's one in Japanese, there's one in English. I use the English one, so my Japanese isn't that great, I'll be honest. And then basically you're just going to follow. So the actual firmware update is an audio file, it's a WAV file. So when you've got everything on zips and you've got your 3.5mm cable, that's going to go in. One side is going to go into the sync in, and the other side is going to go into your computer audio out. So as if you're listening to this through like your headphone socket essentially, or your headphone socket of your audio player. You're then going to turn it on while holding. Let me just get this right, so I'll tell you right. This is in the PDF. Yeah. So it's function and play. So you're going to hold down function and play here, and you're going to turn it on, and then it's going to say update. Okay. So then what you're going to do is you're basically going to play the WAV file from your computer or your media player or iPod or whatever, and you basically play it in to the Volca. And it's so the audio file is about 30, I think it's 36 seconds. It basically plays in, and then this should say end, and then it's done. I'm just going to turn this off because I have updated it. Okay, I'm going to pull this out. And what will happen is these will flash. It's going to go. It won't make that noise. That's just me. But these will flash. Now, if it says error, it sort of flashes error and something else. If that's happening, it ain't working. So what Korg will say is make sure there's no other system sounds playing. Make sure the volume's sufficiently high, but maybe not too high. Yeah, as I say, it's a bit hacky. But as I say, when I did it on the Mac, it would just work first time. And it was fine. Okay, so that is updating the firmware. Right now, you can start thinking about samples. You're going to play samples in basically again using the same kind of method. So one end of your stereo 3.5mm is going to be in your computer, and the other end is going to be in your sync in. Yeah, sync in. Okay, then what you're going to go and do is you're going to go online, and so this is what I did. I downloaded. I'll shoot a screenshot up. A piece of software from the Fredrickson Labs website called Vosyr, Vosyr. So if you search for that in Google, it'll take you to their website, and there's a link there just on the screen for download, which you'll find, and then you're going to download the Vosyr software, and there's a download for Mac and there's a download for PC. Happy days. On my PC it installed fine, on the Mac it installed fine, no worries there. And then basically this is a kind of sample library kind of bit of software. Okay. This is what Vosyr, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, looks like. So it's just basically a load of slots that you can just throw various samples in. Okay, so it seems like the play button doesn't work. So what I'm going to do now, I've got this WAV file called Lo-Fi Piano. I'm just going to load up into a slot here. No, I'm not. There we go. Okay. There we go. And I want to load that in. So what's quite nice is it tells you, this keeps track of how many seconds of samples that you've got. And there's a maximum of 65 seconds, I think that's saying there. So I think it's got 4 megabytes of RAM. So it's not like massive. You've not got massive space for loads of long samples. So it's very much geared up towards little percussive, short percussive samples. I.e., it's essentially a drum machine, I would say. But there's probably interesting and creative other things that you could do with it. Right, so I've got this lo-fi piano loop, 10-second piano loop. I'm going to load in. So I've put that there. I have got the Volca connected up with that 3.5mm cable. I'm going to select that because that's the one I want to load in. I don't want to bin anything. Then so transfer selected samples. So I'm going to press that, then we get this nice window. And there's this nice little cartoon showing you how to do it. The following data will be transferred. Sample number 22. Okay, I can't, because I guess that's like, because I selected it in the previous window. And I'm going to press let's go. Oh, hang on. I'm going to press. Okay, so I've got my cable plugged in here, and t'other end is plugged into the computer, and the machine is on. I'm just going to skip back to my Vosyr software, and we're seeing we had that you had the window showing the what file we're going to transfer. I'm going to hit let's go, and what you'll see in the software is you'll see the progress bar is shooting along, and obviously what the Volca is doing this kind of thing and saying data, and in my experience this is it working. This is like happy days. If you get the error decod thing, it ain't working. And again, as Korg's advice is, try a different device. Now, what you shouldn't do, or what I'd recommend against, is the first time I did this, I forgot to plug the computer end in. So it was just basically, so my laptop was playing out like the data through essentially the audio speakers, and it just sounds shocking. It sounds like if you're my age and you remember old kind of dial-up modems or loading computer games from tape, it kind of sounds like that. But there's a really high pitched sound that just will send you crazy. Don't do that. So don't have your monitors on and then send out these. Oh, there we go. It's ended. And then send out these kind of updates through your monitors, because you will go deaf. So it says end. So that appears to have been successful. So I think if I just press play again, it's going to take me back. Now, so if I just go to this, and I'm going to go using the sample thing. Yeah, sample 1, 2, 3. What was it? 20 something? 20. Yeah, 20. Here we go. 22. Right, that's my lo-fi piano sample that I've just transferred in. So I can now, put that into a sequence and have that playing back, say, on the first beat of a bar. But I forget what the tempo of that is, so it's not going to be tempo synced to my thing. But there we go. And then we can do various things like, start point and length. We can change. And have some interesting effects that way. So it's not like easiest thing in the world. It's not like software. Hardware that we kind of have got used to now, where it's like plug your USB cable in or upload your samples to a card, throw your card in the machine. Happy days, it's done. It's all done through audio. But if you have this, say, a library app like the Vosyr or the Caustic, or there's even, I think there's a browser-based version as well. You'll be grand. This is an epic long video. I'm sorry, but that's just that's the process. Anyway.